Hello Knockouts, Tonya TKO here, and today we're going to be talking about Chad Loves Michelle Season 1, Episode 2, and I myself love specialist and relationship expert from TonyaTKO.com. And today I'm really excited about talking about this episode because this is an episode that you guys specially requested that I speak about and get my take on, because in this episode, Chad mocks Michelle for having mental health issues, and so many of you wanted to see what I thought about that. So we're going to give ourselves 7 minutes to talk about this topic. So come on, let's dive right in because we have a lot to talk about, including race, friends, family, and what it means to be Black in America, as well as the mental health issues and what's a sign of a functioning relationship. All right, ready? Here we go. In this episode, it starts out with Chad and Michelle talking to their therapist over Skype or video chat, where the therapist is asking how the week went, and basically during the week they had an argument about race in particular, because once they talked about their relationship in public, a lot of people came forward talking about the whole interracial aspect of their relationship, which brought up insecurities, I'm sure, on Michelle's part. They were saying she was in a sunken place, calling her a traitor and all this other stuff, right? Okay, so Michelle was talking to him, and she was like, well, you don't understand, that's just how Black people talk, right? And so basically he made a comment to her that was like, did you take your medication today? And she felt really hurt by that. He was really hurt by the conversation that they had about her lashing out about him not being Black, etc. So she said something hurtful, he said something hurtful back, and then there we are at the beginning of the episode, in which they talked with the therapist. They opened up, they revealed how they felt about, the other thing, because like to you something may seem small, but to your partner it may seem big. And so to all of the people who wanted my take on this, I am actually okay with how things transpired in this episode. I'm okay with him making the mocking statement about her mental health and getting checked on it. And not only getting checked on it, but making the behaviors, or making the choice to make a different choice. Now, a functioning relationship, a healthy relationship, is not one in which your partner never says anything that gets under your skin, that riles you up, which makes you uncomfortable. But there are a few key things that you need to look at. How does your partner respond when you bring up the fact that you really didn't like how that went down? And how do they act after the fact? Do they make earnest efforts to change? And you have to excuse me. I'm on the road this week, and I don't know if you can see, there's my trailer behind me. So I'm on the road, and there's people pulling up beside me. Sorry about that. People are so curious all the time. Anyway, so how does your partner behave after the fact when it's time to make a different choice in their behavior? Do they continue perpetuating the same hurtful behavior, or do they make a conscious effort to really truly change? So according to what it is that I saw, they both opened up. They both made the conscientious effort to make a different choice going forward. And I'm okay with that. Time will tell how he behaves in the future. And then with that, remember, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So depending on how he behaves, then we can start continuing to make our assessments about whether or not his apology was truthful, whether or not her apology was truthful. So let's jump in and continue to go in. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that I said that I didn't say in the last video is I really wish that Michelle would kind of take a look at who's inside her inner circle. That gay best friend that she has, with the identity of the crisis of sexual identity, making jokes about how him and her were supposed to be together and all this other stuff. In every joke, there's a little bit of truth. I want her to keep her eye on him, because in the last episode, he was saying some things that I thought were a little bit fishy, and kind of like, it seemed like he was kind of trying to throw a little monkey wrench in what it is that she got going on. But tell me how you feel about that. Have you peeped that there's some fishiness going on with the way that, I don't know, I'm going to keep my eye on him. Right? So this is the stuff that I really, really, really want to jump into. First, let me just get this out of the way. One of my concerns is that Chad may have an idealistic view of what a healthy functioning relationship looks like, because his relationship model is his parents, whose relationship fell apart when he was a teenager. They got divorced. And I saw the preview for an upcoming show. His father was on drugs and all this other stuff, and he had to stay there to caretake his father. And then his grandparents' relationship, where he says that his grandparents never argued. And when you talk to the grandfather about it, the grandfather says, oh yeah, we would get mad, but then we would just forget about it. That makes me wonder whether or not that we is the both of them, or whether or not that we was the grandfather wielding his will upon another person and just being like, look, we're not going to talk about this, we're going to forget this. Because I personally, I don't think that it's healthy not to have disagreements. So like we were talking about in point number 1 with the whole, you know, wanting me to talk about this, him mocking Michelle, right? I think that we have to keep our eyes open for what makes a healthy functioning relationship. And also remember to also keep our eyes open for people that go out of their way to be non-disagreeable. There's something else going on underneath there, which may be a manipulation tactic, which can get you caught up and hemmed up in other ways, manipulation and control, and also abuse. So we have to be wary of people who say all the right things and agree and try to shift into this, you know, this parrot you and mimic you, because that is a manipulation tactic. And we'll get into that in another video because we only have a few more minutes, right? One of the things that I'm really excited to talk about this show is that this show is really smart. We're going over our 7 minutes. We're going to take it up to 9 minutes, okay? This show is really smart in that this is the type of show that you make when you want to open up the dialogue. I love that they're opening up the dialogue about some of the pitfalls of an interracial relationship and opening up a way for people to really kind of get an inside view. First of all, I'm stunned that his family is as white as they are. And there's a part of me that was wondering if grandma was dipping in the little places shouldn't have been dipping, or mama or something, because Chad definitely has Negroid DNA, and there's something, I don't know, something going on in that family, but nonetheless, right? I thought it was remarkable. One of my favorite parts of the episode was when they went not horseback riding, before the horseback, they did equine therapy, I believe it's called. And I thought to myself about what that would have looked like if that were a black man that she were with. And she went to go do some equine therapy where, you know, you rub the horse and you listen to the horse and you let it guide you and you learn about yourself through the horse, right? Excuse me. And I realized from watching that scene that if it were a black guy in there, that there would be so many things that would be tied up in his manhood and his blackness, that there may even be some sort of conversation like, oh, black people don't do this, or a questioning of whether or not he's manly enough or nothing or anything like that. And I remember the freedom that I felt when I was in Japan, when I didn't have to be black first. I was American first. And so I truly believe that many Caucasians don't get it, because race is something that it just, at first I was exhausted for her being around all of those white family members. And then I actually started to feel an air of relief, because it was like, you don't have to be black. You could just be human. You know, and so I do think that there are going to be other things that are going to come up in this relationship that need to be worked through, because coming from a perspective where race is not a factor, and mating with a person or coupling with a person where race is the first factor, is definitely going to take some understanding. And I think that far too many Caucasians, even if Chad has Negroid DNA, he was raised as white in this country. And I think that it's going to take him really having the humility enough to really open up his ears and hear Michelle, and not just kind of do the whole thing like his grandfather did with, oh, we forgot about it, and none of that. So listen, on that note, thank you so much for suggesting this to me. Stay tuned for Ready to Love. We're going to do that next. And remember, subscribe, forward, ring the bell, and I'll see you all in